Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's the 12th of July. And yes, Manchester United are playing today. Honestly, it feels a bit weird saying that. How long has it been since, the FA Cup final? What was it? I don't know. 5 weeks? 5 weeks? Something about that? Something like that anyway. Man United kick off the pre-season travels, I suppose is the best way to call it, today against Leeds in Oslo. In a week's time, we play Lyon in Edinburgh. Then we're off to America. Then we're going to be at Old Trafford. Then we're going to be in Dublin. It's going to be a busy time. It's going to be 8 games in the space of, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. Strap yourselves in. I'm going to cover it all here on United People's TV. And today, the first game kicks off. It should be Mason Mount's debut. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo in midfield. I'm going to run through my starting 11 video that I released yesterday. Transfer-wise, we're going to be speaking about the Andre Onana final steps. We are in the end game. I know you might be slightly frustrated, but this is a transfer that's, in my opinion, going to get done. I'll be mega surprised if it doesn't get done, and hopefully gets done by Thursday so I can have a weekend off because I'm actually away on a stag do that I've organised, and he's going to love it. I think so anyway. But let's talk about Onana. Let's talk about Dean Henderson and Anthony Elanga, some updates on their exits. And I've been speaking to you this whole time about how my concerns are actually more to do with Man United's lack of sales than to do with slow-moving transfers, because it's so crucial for our summer to be successful. I'll run through all of that. We'll speak. There's plenty of other news to speak about. I've got about 450 tabs open, as I normally do. But who's here this morning? Good morning to the whole community. Bully, I can see you there. Brian Harlow, Troy, you're there. Nishant, Robert. We've got Carl watching, as always, from New Zealand. How you doing, buddy? T. Kuzu. We've got Matt James, Kev Ryan, Natasha. You're there. John. We've got Paula. Good morning to you. Ricky as well. Who have we got on Facebook? Anthony Kime. Ibrahim Mustafa. Good morning to both of you. Andrew, Alicia. You're there as well. Joseph Smith. And Perry Neal. All the way from Wales. Always catch me out there. Not catch me out, but I always spot you. Good morning to everyone. In some really positive news to kick off the show today, there's an update on Edwin van der Sar. Now, while he went in over the weekend, and it kind of shocked everyone. It shook me, given that I think he's 52, been fit his whole life, and I think it was a brain hemorrhage. It was a bleed. I don't think it was bleed on the. I think it was a bleeding outside the brain. Either way, we're hearing that he's not in life-threatening danger, which is a big positive straight away, and also that he's communicative every time his family goes in to see him. That is really good news. Of course, he's still in intensive care, so it's far from over at this point in time. But considering, I suppose, how worried everyone was a few days ago, it's a positive update in that sense. So fingers crossed, he continues to recover, and we continue to get good updates from his wife Anne-Marie and the family. So yeah, it's really good news, man, because they can be brain hemorrhages. No joke. Absolutely no joke. So that's really good news there. Making progress, at least. That's what Paula says, and that's exactly what I would say as well. Now, there's one kind of talking point I want to speak about before we kick into the Onana news, right? Now, the 1958 here are encouraging everybody, and I will do the exact same, to make sure that you don't fund anything to do with the Glazers if you can. All right. MUTV has got all the preseason games. So has other places. My friends have told me there's so have other places, if you look. But the thing I want to focus on down here is this, right? Because this has been happening across the course of this season, right? Let me pull this up. Let me zoom in on this. And you can see the price of this ticket. A standard seat in the North Stand, 500. We actually can't see the price ticket. I've zoomed in too much. 550 quid. Price of this ticket here. E334. You can see where it is opposite Stretty End. Pretty standard seat. 395. And this is being sold by Manchester United directly. And there's some interesting numbers that have been pulled up here. Toe in the water. I think he writes for United We Stand. Fanzine. I've spoken to him a few times, and he's very good with his numbers. And this is really interesting, because if you look at Manchester United's accounts recently, you can see that there has been a massive increase in the match day revenue. Now, you might say, well, Sam, that's simply to do with the fact that we played more games, right? You can see that the comparative season when we were in the Europa League and had the cup runs, it was in 2017. All of a sudden, that's a 19% increase in match day revenue. You go over here and you'll see that in 2017, compared to 2023, there was only one game difference. Yet revenues were nearly 20%, 23 million higher. And this is that point there. Questions do need to be asked. How is it that the match day revenue has gone up that much? It's almost like they're creating new revenue streams from other things. From actually, you know how we keep hearing, oh yeah, that Man United are cracking down on touts. The Glazers could well be the biggest touts of them all. Manchester United themselves could well be the biggest touts of them all. And I've seen this information before. I've seen it quite a few times. I've spoken with the lads. I go games with occasionally, and we've all spotted it. And it's kind of like an unanswered question at this moment in time. I'd love there to be more information about that because, as is written there, questions have to be asked. I think this is an interesting point. But yeah, as a 1958 are saying down here, look, boycott what you can, okay? And I always, it's the one thing that really, really annoys me about this whole. It's not the, that's a lie. It's not the one thing that really, really annoys me about this whole process, but that season ticket holders are getting the finger pointed at them saying, oh, you're the problem. You buy your season ticket. As if every single Manchester United season ticket holder, do you have any idea how long that waiting list is for us? If every single season ticket holder in unison went, nah, good, we're going to give up something that we've held in our family for generations sometimes, somebody would sweep them up in less than 1 minute. And all of a sudden, those old school season ticket holders that are leading these sorts of conversations and the drive for what's good for the club would just disappear and be replaced by basically puppets for the owners who wouldn't say a peep. I've always found that to be one of the strangest things about this whole process. But yeah, I just wanted to speak about that at the start of the show. It's just something I've been thinking about for a while, and it's good to get a bit of some numbers there. Callum, you're saying you can't even get on the waiting list at this minute. It's that long. I think it took me, I think I was on it for 6 years. 6, 7, I can't remember how long I was. Funnily enough, the first season I got my season ticket was Moyes. I chose well. I chose very, very well. But yeah, it took me 6, 7 years. So I have no idea how long the waiting list is now. But let's move on to, I suppose, brighter and better conversations. Andre Onana. You'll see I'm calling it the final steps because it is the final steps. I'm going to be, but Simon Stone has said the same thing here. Let me pull this one up. He said this. He goes, I'll be absolutely staggered if Onana doesn't happen and is on the plane to USA. Now, we play Lyon in Edinburgh on the 19th. And then we play 3 days later against Arsenal in New York on the 22nd. So I think we fly out on the Friday. I'm presuming we're going to fly out on the Friday, maybe directly from Edinburgh. I don't know. Can you fly directly from Edinburgh to New York? No idea. So it has to be done by then. And Fabrizio Romano here is saying the exact same thing. We can quickly scroll in and you can see this. This is an update from him last night. Wednesday and Thursday remain the crucial days for the final steps of this negotiation. United will submit that final official bid in order to agree with Inter and seal the deal. We're at the end game. We kind of have been at the end game for a while. You might say, Sam, well, how on earth is this not done now? Because I remember I did the video on Friday saying this might be the here we go day. It wasn't, ultimately. And as it stands, that's still not done. I think it's probably going to be more to do with how much we pay up front more than the... I reckon we're probably agreed on the... Personally, I think we've probably... Nick, you're saying, look, they're saying if they're haggling over a few million, I personally feel that we've probably agreed on the price. It's more to do with how much is being paid up front. I think that's probably where this negotiation has dragged out a little bit, because there was such a small gap in the valuation that for it to take this long seems a bit strange. I personally feel that it's to do with how much Inter are demanding up front, because, of course, they want to go and buy Lukaku and they haven't got the dough for it. Danny is saying, are you going to be watching any of the preseason games? Look, Danny, I'm going to try and watch every single one of them and try and get a match reaction out every single time. I think a few of them kick off at the ungodly times that we've got to get used to. Anybody like big up Troy, big up Carl, and anybody else who watches from like Australia and New Zealand and all as well. Hi. And all you lot that get up at the ungodly hours in the morning to watch games, it's not easy, and I don't like preseason for it. But I think we play. Is it Arsenal 3:30 in the morning? I think Real Madrid might be 1:30 in the morning. Thereabouts. But you're seeing several reports coming out from Calcio Mercato, an Italian outlet, saying, look, the agreement between Manchester United and Inter, it's expected to get done in the next 24, 48 hours. Everybody expects it to get done. United know that an offer of 60 mil, including bonuses, should be offered. Inter could accept slightly lower. All speculation there in that one there. The Onana situation, it will be done. It's a case of when and not if. That's how I feel about it at this moment in time. Famous last words and all that. Right, famous last words for me. But this Onana deal, man, it's going to happen. And I think he'll be on the plane for the preseason tour. And I tell you what, if you were told before the season started that we would complete 2 major signings before we flew away for our preseason tour, do you think you would have said you would have been happy? Yes or no? Because I think I would have been. I really think I would have been. Is it perfect? Nope. Is it significantly better than Manchester United making 2 of our major signings in Casemiro and Anthony after we had lost our first 2 Premier League games against Brighton and Brentford? Yeah, that is a massive improvement. We still needed more. I think we all agree we still needed more. Ideally, we get that striker in. But if we get Mount and Onana in before we fly away to America, I think I'll be happy. Not perfectly happy. And still, as I said, more is still needed. But that's it. That's what it's looking like. If it's not Onana on that plane to America, I will be, well, Simon Stone used the word, not me, but I would be staggered. We're down to the nitty-gritty details here. And then I think after the Onana situation is done and sealed, he's on the plane, happy days, we move on, then I think we start looking towards player sales. And there's some important chats that we need to have this morning about Dean Henderson, about Anthony Elanga, Scott McTominay as well. And now we're going to focus here on the preseason tour. I'm going to see what you're thinking quickly before we move on. What you think, what you feel about whether you're happy or not with the signings. Well, 2 signings being done before preseason. Super, Sven, you're saying I was expecting a clear out. Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm probably more concerned about is the lack of sales, because I know it's so crucial to our success over the next couple of summers because of FFP. Ian, you're saying it's progress. It is progress. Luanda, you're saying that you wanted a striker. Wadi, you're saying it's an improvement, but still not happy. No, so I'm not perfectly happy. Natasha, you're saying, where's the striker, Sam? We're in trouble without one. Well, you can even see with the starting 11 today, because I know, right? I hope you're all sitting down, because I've got some groundbreaking news for you, which I don't think anybody would possibly have expected. Anthony Martial is still injured. I know. I didn't see it coming either. But he's still out with the injury that he got on the last day of the season against Fulham. And here we go. Here we go again. And that won't ever change now with Anthony Martial. It's just, it's come on sort of, yeah. You know the story is just going to repeat itself. So it is, I'm worried about without a striker. We still have enough time to get one in, of course. And I think we will. But I would have loved the striker to be there on the preseason tour. But look at this, man. Rockstar Eric Ten Hag going into the, I'm presuming that's the Oslo hotel. Maybe that's out of the airport. Sod knows. Actually, no, I think that is the airport. I think that's a little airport sign over there. Anyway, doesn't matter. United landed in Oslo yesterday. A 26-man squad travelled. I'm going to run through the squad, everyone that travelled, and the big question marks about the absences that we've seen there. Of course, this man's on the plane. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Mason Mount play. He could play on the left-hand side of midfield. He could play on the right-hand side of midfield. I think it might be interesting to see where he plays because he can operate on both. I personally feel that the right-hand side is going to be Bruno's across the course of the season. So it's probably more likely that Mason Mount goes to the left and links up with Marcus Rashford than Luke Shaw, which would make that left-hand side, by the way, brilliant. They're genuinely very, very good as a collective team. Aditya, you're saying, what's my starting 11 prediction? I'm going to run through the squad that travelled, transfer news, then around a couple of players that didn't go, and then I'll run through my starting 11. And the video, remember, went out yesterday. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you drop a like on this video if you did enjoy it. Let's run through the full squad that travelled, though, okay? Here we go. We've got 3 goalkeepers, Tom Heaton, Nathan Bishop, and Matej Kovar. And, of course, you're going to notice one big missing name there. That would be Dean Henderson. And it's an update last night from John Percy and Mark McGrath in the Telegraph that Forest are locked in talks with United for a deal for Dean Henderson. They want to sign him and also another goalkeeper. They're looking at Wolves' Jose Sarr. Negotiations have been complicated by the De Gea situation, which we all kind of knew. When it came to Henderson leaving, when it came to United maybe signing a second-choice goalkeeper and a first-choice goalkeeper, it was a domino effect. And De Gea had to be the first domino to fall. Either fall back into signing a new contract or falling and leaving the club, and he's left the club. That now means that we can really move ahead with Dean Henderson's sale. Now, remember that Dean Henderson, his absence isn't just to do with the transfer because he's currently injured. An injury that ruled him out from the end of last season. He came to Carrington early to start his rehab. But Man United are in deep talks with Forest, and I expect this to be a deal that gets done. I personally feel we should be looking north of 25 million for Dean Henderson, especially when you're looking at, by comparison, James Trafford, another City goalkeeper. It was Bazunu last summer who I focused on, who left without playing a minute for City, and he went to Southampton for about 12 to 15 million. And now we're looking at James Trafford, another, I mean, he's a very good goalkeeper, just won the under-21s with England. You see that penalty save from him, that 98th minute? It's pretty amazing. Double save, actually. Hasn't kicked a ball for City in the Premier League. He's going to be going for near enough 20 million. So those two, and then you got Dean Henderson, who's had bags of experience, and in the Premier League too. You're looking, in my opinion, 30 million is what a fair price is for Dean Henderson. And on top of Dean Henderson there, another player that you can see is not included in this squad down there is Anthony Elanga. And now we've got reports from Sweden saying that Everton want to sign him. And I could see him being a decent enough signing for Everton. I think Anthony Elanga is going to go on to have a decent career. He'll be like a mid-level footballer, but the work rate that he's got, the application that he's got, he doesn't have the technical ability, but he will listen to what a manager wants him to do. He will follow instructions and he will give absolutely everything. And for certain teams, that will be enough. It's just that for Manchester United, we needed a bit more than that. So Anthony Elanga, I think what do you think? I was thinking about this before the show, right? Maybe, should I do this as a poll? Yeah, let me do this as today's poll then, right? Let me pull this up and I'll ask you a question. Because I want to know, how much do you think for McTominay, for Henderson and Elanga combined? So if you add the two transfer fees up, you think we should be getting for Elanga and Henderson, how much do you think we should get, right? I'm going to put down 20 to 30 million. 30 to 40, 40 to 50, or 50 to 60 million. All in, for the pair of them combined, what do you think Manchester United should be looking at getting? Because I think we should be getting good money. And this is a big difference that we have to make. You've got two players there who may not suit Manchester United, okay? But Dean Henderson, what is he, 26? Let's have a look. 26 already. Damn, got that absolutely spot on. 26, Premier League experience, Championship, plenty of experience under his belt, plenty of years ahead of him. Real resale value. Anthony Elanga, 21, already has 50 senior appearances for Manchester United, already a Swedish full international, plenty of years ahead of him. Both of them two combined should be worth a good amount of money. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Craig, you think Henderson 30, Elanga should be 25, 30, so a total of 55 to 65. I think that's optimistic, but I think these are the numbers that United should be aiming towards. Harry, you think 40 to 50 combined. Bully, you think 55. Danny, you think 30 to 40 combined. Wow. Steve, you're saying 55 mil. Kevin, you think 50 to 55. Let me see what the poll is saying. So 500. Oh, mate, I always put a smile on my face. 500 votes in 1 minute. And 46% of you are saying 40 to 50 mil. 30% of you are saying 30 to 40 mil. And 16% of you are saying 50 to 60 mil. I think I'd go for the 40 to 50, but I'd aim more towards the 50. I think United should be asking for 30 mil for Henderson and 20 mil for Elanga. All in, add-ons included. And you think it's going to be less? Teams know the financial straits we're in. You could say that if you wanted to, but... And I suppose that's going to be true to a certain extent. But United have to get better money for our players who are being sold. Chelsea, they're in dire straits. Chelsea have spent 600-700 million. They need to sell players. They got players with 1 year left on deals. And they get a very good value for Mount. So as much as you might say that we're over a barrel, yeah, other clubs have been over bigger barrels and got very good values for their players. It comes down to negotiation. United have to be better at it. It's a fundamental problem of Man United that has existed for years and years and years, which because now we are losing money as a business is hurting us, has now become a problem. Previously, you can kind of ignore it. You can't ignore it anymore. But let's go back to look through the full squad and see any other standout talking points. There's a couple of players missing. You can see a certain midfielder and a certain striker missing. And that is Anthony Martial, which I've already talked about, and Donnie Van Der Beek. The Van Der Beek one's a little bit interesting. I think lots of us expected Van Der Beek to... we sort of all expected Van Der Beek to be on the plane, to be part of the travelling squad. I did anyway. Obviously, Van Der Beek's coming back from his injury as well. But I think he said at the start of May that he wasn't too far off. So we're, what? I don't know. Two months ahead. And Van Der Beek's been left out. Now, maybe that is indeed just him on an individual training plan. Although I swear I saw him getting involved in like actual full training. But I think it's, yeah, it leaves the door open for Van Der Beek's exit. Just like Henderson being left at home. Obviously, he wasn't fit enough to travel anyway. But Elanga not being part of the squad. You can... Now is when we need to start seeing the movements. Start seeing the movements with player sales. That's what I want to see. As soon as we get this guy over the line, and here we go, focus on everything needs to go towards player sales. Now, of course, some youngsters are taking advantage of the opportunity, right? Dan Gore is in there. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I hope he gets some minutes. Joe Hugill, he's a 19-year-old striker. I'm looking down here. I mean, Emeram's a bit of a wide player. Amad's not a striker. Amari Forson, I don't actually know. Jadon Sancho's not a striker. Shoda Shoretire. I mean, you're struggling if you're going to call him a striker. Maybe a false nine, but more of an attacking midfielder. United do not have many options going forward, do they? But moving on from Elanga, of course, we're hearing whispers and murmurs around McTominay. That's pretty much all there kind of has been around McTominay and a potential exit. Nothing more than sort of murmurs, whispers. Declan Rice has obviously left West Ham. They got 100 mil to spend. How will they spend it? I think McTominay would genuinely be a very good signing for West Ham. Is he a Rice replacement? No. He won't ever be. However, if I'm looking at the sort of the way that Declan Rice played again, he was very, very good at ball carrying. McTominay's not as good at that. But I would be more than happy if McTominay went to West Ham. I think that'll be a good signing for them. I think we get good money again. You're looking at 30 to 40 million for Scott McTominay. Like, you might laugh and scoff at that, but that is how much he is worth comparatively in the market we currently exist in. Laugh at the market if you want. Don't laugh at me. But yeah, let's take a look at what. So this was the traveling squad. Main names in there. Obviously, you've got Alvaro Fernandez. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. You got some senior players. You got Varane. You got Martinez. You got Wan-Bissaka. You got Fred. Mason Mount is in there now. This was my predicted starting 11 for the game. Let's whip this one up. Now, of course, Anthony Martial, he cannot be included because he didn't travel. He didn't travel, did he? No, he didn't travel. So Martial, off your pop. Who do you think is going to start up front? Maybe you're going to get Joe Hugo playing up there. You can let me know what you think about that in the comments. But I went for Tom Heaton in goal with Martinez and Varane as my two centre-backs. Fernandez on the left wing. Wan-Bissaka on the right wing. Yes, it's experience, but come on, ladies and gents. There's one thing we've learned from Erik ten Hag so far in his time at Manchester United. It's he will give youth experience, sure, but where he can, he will play his strongest team. And I believe that does apply to the preseason as well. Now, there's two players I'm really looking forward to watching today, and that's Kobbie Mainoo, and that is Mason Mount. For obvious reasons, I want to see how Mason Mount gets on. But I really want to see how Kobbie Mainoo plays. I've got him down there as the sort of the Casemiro vibe in this team. That player who's going to receive the ball from the two centre-backs and bring it forward. Turn and face. I really think there's... I mean, you could put Dangor there, potentially. Charlie Savage kind of played there last pre-season. Hannibal plays a little bit further forward. Hanson Aaron plays a little bit further forward. We're kind of... It's because there's so many of the first-team players who aren't here, of course, because so many senior internationals were given extra time off. I don't know who's going to play up front. I'll be honest. Maybe you're going to see Sancho playing in a false 9. It's anybody's guess, all right? It really is anybody's guess. And if anybody can get 11 out of 11, then I doff my hat to you because I don't think anyone's going to get it. You fire in your questions about that starting 11. You can let me know in the comments. I look at that, man. Everyone's favourite garlic bread man has indeed returned. Who cares about the gingerbread man when you got the garlic bread man? There needs to be like an update on Shrek there. Just get rid of gingerbread man. Just whipping garlic bread man. What would garlic bread man look like? Anyone seen Sausage Party? I watched that again the other week. Man, that's a funny film. God of You, you're saying, I'm more excited about Isaac Hansen than I am about Kobbie Mainoo. Nah. Not me personally. Look, I'm excited about Hanson Aaron. He's very much a gifted ball carrier, really diminutive sort of, more of a number 10 player, right? Kobbie Mainoo, in terms of where our weaknesses exist inside this midfield and where we are likely to see the opportunity for a youth team player to break through, is in that position. And he's that good, and he's got a little bit of versatility to his game. He can basically... Man United and Erik ten Hag can mould him into the midfielder we want him to be. 4 p.m. is the kickoff time today. What's your predictions? Fire in your score predictions if you want. I mean, honestly, good luck. If anyone gets this right, again, fair play to you. My prediction is 4-2 United. All right, 4-2. 4-2 United. If it's 4-2 United and that 11 starts, then I am incredible. But it won't happen. Someone asking about Charlie McNeil. I don't know. I don't even think Charlie McNeil was involved in the actual training at Carrington. I don't remember seeing Charlie McNeil there. Might be wrong. Somebody mentioning Laird and Zidane. Well, 2 players who were there and 2 players who have now been sold. It's kind of the way things move on. Not every youth team player is going to make it. Garlic man, what are you saying? Missed the last few shows, but I'm back now. Love the community. One of the big boys is back. Nice to see you back there, man. Just like we'll see Rashford back. I imagine for the game in Edinburgh, because there's only one game here in Oslo, and then we fly back, right? And then we go back to Carrington, train for a few days, and then we go to Edinburgh. I imagine for that game, you're going to see a lot more of the senior internationals and the senior players playing. Jake, Jake's obviously drunk early this morning because he thinks that Leeds are going to win 3-2. We pump that team every time we play them. Might be a little bit different with the kids, of course. Nathan saying Mainu could be Ten Hag's new Gravenberch. I like the comparison. And of course, Gravenberch was the player who Ten Hag sold De Jong, needed to find someone, went to the academy, saw Gravenberch, brought him through and molded him. Of course, Gravenberch now at Bayern Munich, wasting away on the bench. Amy Bowden, you think it's going to be 3-1. Charlie, you think 3-1. Jasper, you think 3-2. Dave Mason, you're going for 3-0. Jeez. Teresa, you're going for 3-1. Nastri saying, where can I watch it without MUTV? I have no idea. And I won't be able to say. But I'm sure other people will. On messaging apps. Maybe. Maybe not. Just asking for a friend. Michael, why is anybody talking about this nonsense? Why on earth would that possibly be a talking point in a conversation? Paul Pogba? Nah. Anthony, I believe, is still injured. Not really much is being said about that, but yeah, Ahmad could do with the opportunity here. Pelistri has not travelled either, remember. I want to see Ahmad on that right wing today. They're the players I'm looking forward to seeing the most, man. 1 in Kobbie Mainoo, 2 in Mason Mount, and 3 in Ahmad. They're the 3 players I'm going to be watching out for. And the main thing I'm going to watch out for, and the main thing I encourage you to watch out for, is watch out for the positions of our midfield. Are we going to see Man United play with 2 number 8s? Because if we do, I'm definitely going to do my sort of... It's something that I've been thinking all along, but there's no point doing that tactical video until we see it in action. So if we do see it, I'll do a video comparing Ten Hag's team last year to maybe to how Ten Hag's team will line up this year. Alex saying, what do you think Ahmad, Mainu, Hugo need to do to impress Erik Ten Hag? Follow instructions, I suppose. It's simple. Just work as a team, work as a unit. Don't leave massive holes and weaknesses and follow instructions. That's all they can really do in preseason. Preseason ultimately is about 75% of the importance of it is fitness. Is getting rid of that booze that you've finally been able to indulge after a long slog of a season. Get rid of that. Get your match fitness and your match sharpness back. That's what is needed from the players. And Ten Hag will be looking for those players who take on those instructions. Inaki, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you there joining as a member. Paul, honestly, why is... Can somebody please explain to me why anybody would want Paul Pogba back? Seriously. After everything that... I've got no doubt in his ability, but I never doubted his ability once when he was a Manchester United player. Man. Jeez. What do you want? I'm staggered if there's people that genuinely want him back. I really genuinely would be staggered if there's... maybe I'm being unfair. But I imagine Paul Pogba's going to be accepting the Saudi deal. What is it? They got... Who's it this week? Was it Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio? I think he's going there. Man, they are really trying to buy everything. I only found out yesterday there's an esports event going on in Saudi right now. So I think it's like the biggest one that's ever happened. And it's got like a prize pool of like $45 million. Fun fact, I used to play games competitively. I was back one of the early adopters, played Call of Duty. And just kind of grew out, because at that point, how old was I? 17 at the time. Everyone was like, what are you doing sitting in your bedroom playing games? But yeah, I got sent to, well, I didn't get sent to that many competitions. Got sent to one. Was it 2? Can't remember. Yeah, it was right at the early doors of esports. But now you're looking at prize pools of 45 million euros. Whew, that's a lot. Looking down here in the comments around Paul Pogba, well, I'm glad to say the community largely agrees with me. But I imagine quite a few players who would like Paul Pogba back would take Ronaldo back as well, wouldn't you? That would make me bang my head against a brick wall very hard. Very hard. Phase Sam, Optic Sam. No, I'm not going to tell you what team I play for. Maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll do it in like a members Q&A. By the way, there's some new membership perks that are going to be sort of launched over the next couple of weeks, I would say. I feel like because I've been promising the software for so long and it hasn't come, and I've been promising the website and that still hasn't come, kind of looks like I've not been doing much. But I have been, I promise. It's kind of behind the scenes. Last couple of talking points here before we wrap up today. It's going to be, I won't be doing a lunchtime video today because the game's at 4 o'clock. So there'll be no point me putting lots of work into a video, which people would only watch for 2 hours before the game comes on. And that's where the big talking points happen. I'll be doing my match reaction after that. But United are closing in on a deal to bring Darren Fletchers Boys to the club. We knew that from a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, you saw this on a flip reverse yesterday that City are close to reaching an agreement for Harrison Parker, who's a highly rated centre-back at our club. And you've got Samuel Lutkers saying, well, it looks like this is a revenge move from City. But as from everything that I've read, Man United offered Harrison Parker a certain... I mean, he's 16. How are you even having these conversations with 16? They can't even sign a professional contract until they're 17. So how are you even having like wage question marks and are you allowed to have a wage on a scholarship contract? I mean, sod knows. But these are sort of conversations that are now happening behind the scenes. Kev, you're saying why would we let him go? I don't think we are letting him go. I think City have come in over the top with a higher offer, and that's why he would leave. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting Darren Fletcher's Boys coming into the club. And I'll tell you what, I love Darren Fletcher as a player, man. Darren Fletcher was just like John O'Shea, a player who would rarely get the plaudits. You know, he did. Remember when he scored, was it 2 against City, 2 headers? Was it 2 headers he scored? That game, I think that was the Owen game, wasn't it? I'll always remember Darren Fletcher getting that yellow card in the semi against Arsenal when he tackled Fabregas. I think it was at the Emirates. Went through. It was a perfect tackle. Like it was to the millimeter, but it was perfect. And I think was he booked or sent off? Either way, he was banned from the final, and it was bullshit. And we desperately missed him in that final. Desperately. I always remember that. I like Darren Fletcher, man. I really like Darren Fletcher. Just as much as I like John O'Shea as well. But yeah, it looks like his boys are going to be joining. That's cool. And the last note and talking point, which I've seen a lot of people discussing, is this photo here. Mason Greenwood training out in Dubai with Anthony Elanga, and I'm not sure quite who that is in the middle. And of course, it's the Sun who's coming out with the quotes, and the only quotes on this situation. A source close to Mason saying that he's going to be playing football somewhere this season, and I absolutely hope it's not at Manchester United, and I don't think it will be. Of course, we've seen him being linked to Atalanta. We've been seeing him linked to Turkish clubs as well, I think. I'm not sure where else. But I don't think it will be at Manchester United. But I suppose we will find out in the goodness of time. We will know before the season kicks off. That's all I know. So we've got, at some point in the next 3 weeks or so, we should know exactly what's going on with Mason Greenwood. And I've said all along that I've been avoiding adding to the speculation. I'm only adding this because there's a photo there of him with Elanga. So let's find out what goes on there. You never know. He might get some sort of mega contract off from Saudi Arabia and go over there. You couldn't rule that out. You can't rule it out with anyone now because they are sweeping up players. But that is it for today. We're going to wrap up with one final note here. This is my talk. This is my starting 11. I'm looking forward to seeing Mason Mount play this afternoon. Kobbie Mainoo hopefully starting in midfield as well. Ahmad on the wing. What about Lisandro Martinez and Varane getting back in the middle? Fernandez at left back could be fun. Sancho. Let's find out. I will have my match reaction up after the game, as I always have here on United People's TV. So make sure you do drop a like on the video. Thank you all for tuning in today. We're at the final stages with Onana. We should be getting the here we go today or tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope for it on Friday. Now, I was a bit premature. Story of my life, that. But I'm hoping that we get it done in the next 24, 48 hours. Onana in the bag, and then we move on. But I'll be back after the game against Leeds today. Have a cracker.